Falcon 3.5 E-Adjust shocks give the freedom of adjusting the shock's firmness via an in-cab switch. E-Adjust shocks equipped with the ADAPT control module have the additional capability of auto-adjusting the shock's firmness. The ADAPT control module utilizes a smartphone app available for iOS and Android devices. Installing the shocks is a straightforward process. Lift the vehicle off the ground, support the front axle, and remove the front shocks. If you are keeping the factory inner fender liners, use the provided templates and trim holes for the reservoir and cartridge adjuster. Install the upper end of the front Falcon shocks using the factory hardware. These shocks are equipped with the SP2 mode adjust feature, which means that the shocks can be set to one of two modes during the installation. SP2 mode adjust alters the shock's tuning, which is separate from the E-Adjust cartridge adjuster. The mode is chosen by rotating the shaft when it is fully extended a full 360 degrees, either clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on the mode you want the shock to be in. A more detailed video about SP2 mode adjust can be found on the Falcon Shocks YouTube page. With the shaft fully extended, rotate the shaft and set the mode. Install the lower end using the factory hardware. Support the rear axle and remove the rear factory shocks. Install the rear Falcon shocks using the factory hardware. Make sure to set the mode to the same mode as the front shocks. The rest of the installation process involves installing the control module, the wire harness, and the switch. Two control module options are available: the standard E-Adjust or the upgraded ADAPT. The standard E-Adjust control module connects a two-way switch, which has two settings, soft or firm. Soft is always soft, but firm can be manually adjusted via the 8-position microdial on the cartridge itself. The ADAPT control module gives the additional feature of automatic damping adjustments, which measures the G-force of the Jeep's acceleration, turning, and braking. In the auto setting, the shocks default to soft until the G-force of any of these three zones passes the force threshold, at which point all four shocks will switch smoothly to firm. Each zone's force threshold can be customized via the Falcon ADAPT app. In the app, different presets can be created and saved, allowing you to fully customize the Falcon shock experience. The installation for both the standard E-Adjust and the upgraded ADAPT control modules is the same. Begin by attaching the control module to the underseat bracket. Push the driver's seat forward all the way and remove the bolts attaching the rear of the seat to the body. Slide the bracket into place and replace the bolts. There are two sets of wire harnesses. Connect the plug ends of the wires to the corresponding spots on the control module. Power goes to power and shocks goes to shocks. Running these wires from the control module to the shocks has a little bit of freedom to it. Depending on the model of JL you drive and how you've lifted the vehicle, you may have to run these wires a little differently from how we show it in the video. Separate the front shocks from the rear shocks. Pop the panel up along the lower end of the rear left door. This will allow you to pull back the carpet and access the drain plug under the rear seat. Remove the drain plug and cut a hole, or even just a slit. Feed the rear shock wires through it. Send the wires down through the drain hole, and then replace the drain plug. Tuck the wires under the side panel and replace the carpet, covering up the wires as you do so. Under the vehicle, find the rear shock wires and run them to the shocks. There's not a specific route that you must follow, but stay away from the exhaust and avoid placing the wire in spots where it will get pinched between the frame and body or interfere with moving parts. As you see in the video, we attached the shock wires to the factory wires running along the spring bucket and frame. The front shocks and battery wires will go into the engine bay via the firewall plug located behind the brake pedal. Remove the plug and drill or cut a hole into the plug. Replace the plug and send the wires through it. On vehicles with manual transmissions, you will need to send the wires through the drain plug under the rear seat and run the wires along the frame. Connect the front left shock wire to the shock. Tie off any excess wire. Run the front right shock and the battery wires along the back of the engine bay. Connect the front right shock wire to the shock, tying off the excess wire. Connect the battery wire to the battery. Red goes to positive and black goes to negative. The switch attaches to the front grab handle. Remove the panel on the side of the dash. Remove the top dash speaker cover. Pop the covers off the handle and remove the screws holding the handle in place. Remove and you can discard the top cover. Drill a hole in the top screw opening at an angle so that it goes from front to back. Make sure you don't drill through the handle. The idea of this is that the wires remain invisible. Run the switch wire up the side of the dash. Feed the wire through the hole you just made on the handle and reinstall the handle. The wire will be kind of in the way of the screw, so installing it can be a little tricky, but when you're done, the wire should stick out the top. Depending on whether the shocks you are installing have the ADAPT feature, the switch will either be a 2-position or a 3-position switch. Because the shocks we are installing in this video have the ADAPT control module, we are installing the 3-position switch. The written instructions have a wonderful diagram of how to connect the wires. And here it is. Attach the wires following the diagram and attach the switch to the handle. Replace the top dash speaker cover. We now need to attach the key on power. Remove the panel under the steering wheel. Remove the upper panel containing the climate controls and disconnect the attached wires. Remove the one screw holding the entire dash together. Pop the lower panel free, exposing the back of the 12-volt auxiliary power socket. Find the wire that has both pink and yellow on it, and attach the provided T-tap to it. Replace all the connectors and panels. Falcon 3.5e adjust shocks with ADAPT are calibrated using the Falcon ADAPT phone app. Again, this is available for Android and iOS devices. With the Jeep on level ground, follow the on-screen instructions and calibrate the shocks. You need to accelerate to 15 miles an hour and stop suddenly, so the best place to do this is an empty parking lot. Do not manipulate the app while the vehicle is moving. For a more in-depth look at the app, see the video on the Falcon Shocks YouTube page.